Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of Eclipse Kitchen. The British in me adores this simple recipe. It's sweet without the use of sugar and it goes well by itself and along your favorite soups and stews. They are super fluffy and don't take much to make them. Okay, let's pull up the recipe and see what you'll need for this. I wasn't kidding when I said that this wasn't going to take much. I did this smart thing and separated the wet from the dry ingredients. So let's take a look at the dry ingredients first. These 2 cups of flour can be either the regular all-purpose flour or unbleached. I personally use the unbleached type as it gives the scones a bit more of a creamy look to them. I experimented a lot with these scones and found that 5 teaspoons of baking powder is perfect. It really makes them fluff up and be a bit more airy. I generally use a full teaspoon of garlic, but you can use half of that. It's entirely up to you. In the original recipe, they called for cayenne pepper, but I find that doesn't really go with the cheese. The salt is to help even out the flavors of the scones. Not really much to say, just make sure you don't put too much in. Now on to the wet ingredients. There's the grass-fed butter. You just need to cream it with the backside of a wooden spoon until it's fluffy. You'll see how I do it later. That's the whole milk, and that's all you need liquid-wise for this recipe. This is mostly where the sweetness comes from. Partly skimmed milk is not what you need for this. You must use whole milk, both for the fat content and it helps make the dough stick together. And lastly are the 2 cups of cheese. A good marble will do nicely, but any kind of brick cheese will do. Alright, and now on to the main portion of the show. Okay, cool. So, this is a few years later than what I originally did this film, but yeah, I'm going to be working on doing my scones here again. I did a bit of it on the last time I recorded this, and yeah, I'm going to be doing them a little bit better. Actually, a lot better, because, well, these are going to be a little bit more buttery than the ones that I did last time, and yeah, so I know the recipe says for what, a third of a cup or half cup or quarter cup. Like I got like half a cup of there. I'm gonna do 2 cups of flour, 5 tablespoons of magic powder. Well, magic baking powder. That's something I've used in all my baking. It's really good. You can actually make this with arrowroot flour, baking soda, and cream and tartar. If you get my cookbook, you'll be able to see the exact measurements. I think it's a 1-to-1 ratio. And then I got a cup of milk. Well, this time I'm using half and half because I wanted a higher fat content. I got about 2 cups of cheese. I like using a lot of cheese with this recipe. Oh, before I forget, I need my garlic powder. Garlic powder. So yeah, I'm using garlic powder. I'm also using a bit of oregano and a bit of basil. So it gives it a nice little bit of an Italian type taste. Oh, let me get my oven on. The oven that I have takes a while for it to heat up, so I got it going to 425, which is the right temp for this particular confection. But yeah, this is basically I would say it's a milk bread. It's a Herford England recipe that I got from a dear friend of mine, and yeah, I modified it a little bit by adding more butter, and instead of cayenne pepper, I'm using the oregano and the basil. I just wanted to have like a little bit of an Italian twist to it, which this is really great for like if you're doing spaghetti or really any Italian dish, and it goes well with chili as well. So it's a good little recipe. I'm just gonna get this quickly shredded up, and I'm using the angel hair side, so I'm using that side of the box grater. I just find it melts faster and mixes a lot better with the scones. So I'm just gonna shred this up pretty quick, and we'll be going to the next part, which is measuring out. I forgot my bowl. So yeah, I'm going to be using, since I'm only using like 2 cups of flour and baking powder and the spices, I'm just using this bowl. You don't have to use like a really big bowl, except for the wet ingredients where you're putting your butter in. I do suggest that you put your butter out and use salted butter. Leave it out overnight so it softens up really nicely, or if you're using the the spreadable butters, just leave it out for like 10 minutes and that should be good to go. But yeah, for real butter I usually use grass-fed. Gives you a bit more of a creamier taste, and it's actually got a little bit more of a nutritional profile than your standard butters. Okay, so that should be, that is a lot of cheese. But yeah, that's basically what I do, and my little box grater came with this container, which I find it's a godsend. It allows you to actually measure, if I can move this for a second, it allows you to measure how much cheese you actually have in there. What my grandmother and my mother used to do, and I'll do that in just a hot second once I put all this cheese in there. They used to do a old method of, well, pretty well like an anti-caking agent, but without the bad chemicals. I'll just put that over there, and then grab my cheese. And yes, I already wiped this really well with alcohol, so I don't have to worry about contamination or any of that stuff. And that's what you really should do when you are going to start baking and whatever, is make sure that you have everything wiped down, washed out, all that sort of stuff. Okay, so the little trick that my mother and grandmother used to do, aside from using mason jars to put your products in, is just add, you'll want a little bit of flour in there. They used to just like mix it by hand. With this, I just shake it. And usually within like a minute, the cheese inside is all covered in flour and it'll prevent it from sticking to each other. This also will help with the dough as well if you accidentally made it a little bit too thin. See? And it's just regular everyday flour that I use. And it's already like not sticking together too well. So that's what I was taught. It is a nice little addition to your shredded cheese to make it so it doesn't stick to each other. I'm just going to put this in the fridge until I actually need it, so it doesn't decide to melt. Okay, so what am I going to do first? Let's do the bottom first. Let's get that going. Unfortunately, they don't make a really wide mouth mason jar, so I'm going to do this manually. And don't be afraid of flour either. A lot of people go, "Oh, flour is bad. Oh, this is bad." No, you want regular flour. You want, like I use the unbleached because I don't want this harsh chemicals. You can actually just get like the raw wheat and then grind it yourself into flour, that is also a good option. If you ever have like an overledge like this, you can either use your finger and use the straight side, so that would be this underside of the finger. You can use that to brush across, or use the flat end of a butter knife to take care of the excess. I'm going to be spilling everywhere, but that's fine. I'm going to be using flour anyways. So there's our first cup. And it doesn't have to be like packed full. Yeah, I'm making a mess on the counter. I'm kind of on purpose when it comes to the flour. Should have enough. When I was doing this, I was like, do I have enough flour? Yes, I do. Okay, good. So again, I'm going to be using the flour anyways. And there we go. See? That's what the flat of the finger, or the index finger, does. And I'm going to be needing the flour anyways for later. So yes, I'm going to put this on the counter. It's fine, I can just move that out of the way for a minute. Okay, so the baking powder. So what you want to use is a measuring spoon like this. I found this for like $10. Comes with a full set, so you got your 1/4 teaspoon right up to the full tablespoon. And again, I'm going to use, for this recipe, I'm going to actually measure this out. Usually I just like grab the spoon and just, and if you don't have a measuring spoon, just use a regular tablespoon. It works just as well. And if you forget your how many you've done, it doesn't really, like, it'll just make this a little bit puffier if you forget how many you've done, like I did. So yeah, you don't have to like be exact with the baking powder. It just will make them rise a heck of a lot more. But yeah, that's basically, I'm going to put this towel over here. Okay, so we're at 246, we're good. And with this, like for the garlic, you can do just a tablespoon. I like doing more because I love garlic. And garlic is very good for the heart. But yeah, you can do like a tablespoon or a teaspoon of the garlic, a tablespoon of the others. You can actually really put whatever, like if you don't like the oregano and basil, you don't have to put it in. I tend to like mine a little bit. It just evens up the flavor. But yeah, with the oregano and basil, normally you do half a teaspoon. I like a full teaspoon because, again, I like a lot of flavor with this. So that's basically all the spices done and the dry ingredients. I just have to wipe whisk in these guys. And the entire time I'm going to be using a wooden spoon for making this entire meal. I'll probably use the rubber scraper like near the end when I'm just about ready to make the dough balls, as it were. And I already have there's a 9x13 cookie sheet already set up with parchment paper. Makes it easier to clean up. Like, just throw the dough on there, or on the parchment paper, and let it cook. And yeah, I'm going to be cooking them for about 20 minutes or so. So yeah, it doesn't take that long to make this. And if you're really fancy, which I'm kind of not, my grandmother always used to sift her flour, so you know the really tight mesh sieves. You just put your flour in there and then you kind of bring it down. So we're going to be starting this right now. So my grandmother always used to cream her butter, and what you do is you tilt your bowl like this, and then you essentially use the backside of a wooden spoon, and then you just cream. And then when it's nice and fluffy, then you start adding in the flour. And then once everything's all crummy, then you add in the cheese. And then after that, it's just the cream or the milk. And that's basically it. And you just bring it out onto your counter, or if you've got a really big cookie or cutting board, then you just put the dough on there, make sure that it's either parchment lined or it's a stone or a glass cutting board. The wood ones will cause the dough to stick a little too much. But there we go. So that's about as good as one would get for that. And then it's basically a rule of thirds. So third of the mix goes in, and then you have to be like patient and slow with this part. If you go like too fast, then you're gonna have like flour go everywhere. So I tend to take my time with this. So taking a little bit of a thing, and if you don't really want to tip your bowl for whatever reason, you can do it right on the flat. You just gotta make sure that your first bits here are all incorporated into the butter. It's going to take a little bit of time. But yeah, I'm like, for the most part, these Eclipse Kitchen episodes are like totally uncut, so you actually see exactly how long these recipes are taking me anyways. But yeah, these are going to be really, really good. So that's the first third done. And if you ever, I would suggest getting either an actual rubber scraper or a silicone scraper. Don't get the plastic ones, because they aren't exactly the best. These silicone ones are actually pretty good. So I use that a lot. So next third goes in. So yeah, this is the rule of thirds. So, and again, you just have to be like slow and steady with this. And don't worry if it does crumble a lot. It's part of the recipe. The original was like way too crumbly. Doing the half cup kind of makes it a little bit more stable. And yeah, right now I'm maybe using the half and half instead of whole milk, just to see what the end results is. Let's see if that higher fat milk does anything good, which I'm sure it will. But yeah, these are like diabetic friendly. There's no sugar, no anything in them. As you see, it's just butter, milk, flour, baking powder, and cheese and spices. That's it. Like, it's really, really simple, really easy to make. And it's actually one of my favorites to have. Like, if I want bread, I'll either make this or I'll make sourdough. I will not buy bread at all. But yeah, this is going to take a little bit. As you see, like, it's starting to be a little bit crumbly, which is good. It's kind of what you want. Just making sure that everything is like right in. And as you see, like when I'm using the back of the spoon, I always do a little bit of a twist. It just kind of helps spread the dough out and makes it a little bit more easier to mix the ingredients. I need my rubber scraper again. But as you see, like, it's getting thicker and thicker. It does get pretty thick. Okay, so that's the second third done. Here's the last third. Okay, I'll be doing my cleanup while the thing is baking, so I'll be doing that. Did I drop dough? I guess I did. That's fine. But yeah, this will get a little on the tough side, and it will become very crumbly by the end. So that's what you want for this part of the dough, and then you add your cheese, mix that in, and then the milk. So pretty good. So yeah, what I'm having these with a homemade lasagna that I have in my fridge right now. So yeah, I'm going to be having a full Italian dinner tonight. Okay, 1 second. Oh. Cooking does bring up a little bit of a sweat. Oh my goodness gracious. It is a bit of a workout when it comes to like home baking. Especially using like these old techniques. I know a lot of people would be using like a stand mixer or whatever, but this is something about doing anything by hand. It just makes, well, it definitely helps work out your wrists, and you can actually switch hands if you want while you're doing this. But this is actually getting pretty crumbly. This is the consistency that you want once the flour is in. And what you want to do is, if it crumbles like right away, then you know it's ready. I'm going to leave mine a little bit more, or a little less crumbly. I'm just making sure everything's all mixed in. But yeah, like doing it by hand like this actually helps with controlling exactly how much or how mixed the dough is. Just makes it a lot easier to see when you need to stop and when you need to mix more, like that. Okay, now I'm going to add my cheese. And usually you only need like 2 cups of cheese or a cup of cheese. Depends on how cheesy you want this. I'm going to start with that. And then you just basically mix it in. And because I'm using the small, or the angel hair style shredded, it will cook a lot faster. It'll mix a lot better once I add the milk in. A little more. And you can just like eyeball this part, you know, to be an exact measurement. On the recipe I have the exact measurements, but it's to each their own really. How much cheese you want, how much spices you want, but the flour, baking powder, and the milk are all, like, you have to use those amounts. I mean, you can use more baking powder if you want them to rise more, but I think that's about it. So, I'm going to put them away because I don't want cheese. I always shred more than I actually need, but that's that. My camera's dying. I'm going to go grab my shredder. Just give me a hot second. I'm going to make a little bit of rumbly noises while I'm fixing my camera here. Good thing I have my charger like ready available. Okay, there it is. So just bear with the noise for a second. Probably my camera needed to charge a little bit. Oh, just get over there. Yeah, stop it. I want to make sure that there we go. Cord is now there. Whew. Yay, my thing is still recording and it's charging up. It showed like full battery. I was like, oh great, and then it was showing 2 battery when I was like just a minute ago. I'm like, oh, I better charge it. Okay, let's add the milk in here. And don't worry, if it is a little bit thick, you can, or thin, you can add a little bit more flour into it. Just don't do what I'm doing and making a big mess, because it can happen. But yeah, with a cup of milk, that's plenty to go in. You want to make a sticky dough, so make sure that you rotate, mix around until everything is like so. It's a little on the thin side, so I'm going to add a little bit more flour. Take the flour that I have kind of left over here. Mix that in. I'm going to switch to the other here, or switch to the rubber scraper because I want a little bit more control on what I need. Okay. That's better. I want it thick enough that I can make, or to knead the dough a little bit. But I want it sticky enough that it's going to hold together, which looks like it is doing that. Cool. Okay. Cool. So that's basically ready. Now I'm going to add in. I've done this so many times I can just like measure out. You can do this like a 1/4 cup at a time. And then you just pat your, and I always like adding flour to my hands, so then I can do stuff like this. Clean off the rubber scraper. And if I can do this properly without mixing my fingers a little too much. It is a little bit stickier than I normally have it, but it'll add, or it'll smooth out later. And don't be afraid to be all messy and hands-on. That's the fun part about this recipe. It's like, you are going to have messy fingers, so don't worry about that. That's what washing hands is all for. That should be about it. So that's done. I'm going to put that away. I'm just adding a little bit of flour to the top, just so I have a base to start doing this. So I'm just essentially kneading the dough into a nice little bit here. This is why I have so much flour onto the thing. And by the time I'm actually done this, all that flour will be into the dough. But yeah, you're just essentially kneading the bread dough into, I don't know, my hands are clean. Kneading the dough into its final bit here. But yeah, you want to make sure that it's all together like this. Oh, gonna need a little bit more flour, that's fine. I always do like little bits at a time. I don't want to use too much flour. But now I'm going to bring this out, fold it back in. And you don't want to knead it too much, but you want to knead it enough that it's going to be like a whole system here. There we go. Okay, so that should be almost at the right consistency. And as you see, like the cheese is already kind of breaking apart a little bit. See? It's like, it's doing what it's supposed to do. I'm gonna move this a little bit more. This is the part that I don't really know exactly how much flour you need. So I tend to leave this part out for purposes, just to make sure that, because each time you do this, it's always different. The way I'm doing it is I'm manually flattening this. You don't want to use a dowel or anything that'll put too much pressure. Just manually stretch this out, and then you can shape it into a square, flatten it out, keep shaping it until you have a good shape like this. Okay, now it's a fun bit. So I'm gonna cut this guy in half. You can go like quarters or thirds. I'm going to go thirds because I want a little bit bigger pieces. And they don't have to be like exact thirds either. But that's about a third. But you want to make sure that you find your center line and then cut out from there. And then that's when you cut in half. So what I like to do is, once I get my corner pieces, I usually just do a little bit more kneading, and then you just want to make sure that everything is all mixed, and you want to make it a little bit round, and boom. So there we go. There's our first little dough ball. So we put that onto our baking pan, and I'm gonna do this about 5 more times. So I just like making them in these little dough balls because on the half chance I feel like taking a scone and like making a sandwich out of it. I got buns instead of flat little scones. But you don't want to mix them too much. You just want to make sure that they're roughly mixed around. And I'll show you, like, once I'm done all 6 of these, I'll show you how to space them out properly and whatnot. But yeah, this is basically the scones. Like, after this is about 20 minutes worth of cooking, and that's it. Like 17 to 20 minutes. Depends on the thickness. Like these will take about 20 minutes. Alright, so here's number 3. 3 more to go. And as you see, like the cleanup is going to be like lickety split. Just take a paper towel, wipe this up, and then take a cloth and just wipe like I normally would with the counter. And then, so yeah, I'll just do my cleanup while I'm waiting for the scones to finish up. And away we go. But yeah, like a part of cooking, and what a lot of these cooking shows don't show, is the cleanup process. Like, it's not all about making the food, it's about cleaning up after you make the food, or while the food's cooking. That's actually a big one. And one more. Once I get this one done, then I'll show you me putting into the oven, and then we'll go from there. But yeah, like as you can see, like I've done this for a number of years, so I kind of knew what to do for these scones. And what you want to do is make sure that the scones, or like when you do the buns, to make sure that the folded ends are underneath. So that they're kind of like that. I'm just gonna switch. There we go. So yeah. Oh, sorry. I get to use all my own film director, but that's about what the scones will look like. And they will pop up like crazy. So I'm gonna put that on for 20 minutes. So in that time, I'm going to do my dishes, and you're gonna actually watch me do my cleanup. So that should do there. Okay, cool. Because I like showing the full process while things are cooking. So yeah. But yeah, I have like a very, very full pantry. And yeah, this is what I was talking about on the original, about the avocado oil. This is what I use. It is really, really good. I cook my popcorn in it. I put it in all my all my foods. So I make sure that I have, and it's a good fat too. Like it's you can basically cook anything with it, deep fry or whatever. And it's got the omega-3 and 9 fatty acids, as well as vitamin. It's either vitamin A or vitamin K. I have it all written down in my cookbook. I did actually update my cookbook a little bit to a little bit better format. So the beginning part isn't so wordy. I made like a full appendix at the end. So that way you get right into the recipes and whatnot. I guess I have a second bottle of avocado oil. I was running out because I use it for my popcorn. And I was like, yeah, I might as well get stuff that I need. And that's going to go into the water to soak. Because I don't have a double sink. I have to kind of let that soak on the counter while I'm washing my dishes. But yeah, so in 18 minutes, those scones will be ready, and we'll have those cooling on there. So yeah, this is a fun recipe, and it's, as you saw, like it doesn't take much. It's like almost one of those Great Depression type recipes where, in this case, a recession recipe, as I call it, because well, things are kind of expensive. This is the most basic of breads, and it is a very simple recipe. But yeah, I'm just gonna toss this over here and into. I'm gonna do the wood spoon first. But yeah, like this is a simple recipe. Like not much goes into making these, and I use this a lot. Like anytime I want a good bun or a bread, I just use that. I know for season 2, I want to show how to make sourdough starter. So you get to see me make bread. I've already tested the recipe, and it's a little bit like the sourdough isn't a fluffy bread. It's a little bit more of a denser bread, but it's got a lot of good things to it. Unlike other breads, this has like the prebiotics. It's got its own wild yeast, which is far more beneficial to the body than using like Fleischmann's or those active dry yeasts. You get to make your own yeast, and it's kind of a neat 10-day science experiment. But yeah, it's a heck of a good recipe. If you don't do it properly, what I was doing, or when I was experimenting with it, I fed it a lot of honey and a lot of flour, so it could, like, I didn't check on it as often as I should have. So it was making what's called hooch, essentially making its own alcohol. And I was like, oh, I should add more flour. Because it was like, I'm not kidding, it had like about an inch or an inch and a half of hooch, and I was like, okay, yeah, I better add more flour to it. And yeah, it kind of calmed it down, and I was able to successfully get the sourdough starter pretty well perfect. And with that, I actually had enough to do like 4 or 5 loaves. It was like a lot of sourdough starter. But I only made a couple of loaves, and they turned out really well, and actually brought some on my trip to go see my one aunt, and she's a home ec teacher, or was before she retired. So she was quite proud of me when I showed her my homemade sourdough, and it was like perfectly cooked, like nice and fluffy. Like it does have a little bit of a fluffy texture on the inside. It depends on how you cook it. Like you have to basically broil at the beginning just to get that crust, and then once that crust is done, then you bring the temperature right down to like 350, even lower, and just let it cook slowly. And it is one of the best breads I've ever had. Again, yes, so sourdough is going to be sour. It's not a sweet bread like white bread or those others. There's no sugar in it other than honey. That's what I use for the sourdough starter, and then it's just flour, and basically that's it. Like it was a very quick recipe once the sourdough starter is done. So yeah, it's another bread recipe, highly diabetic friendly. Like I didn't even, to have like 2 slices, I didn't even need any of my insulin at all. So, and I'm a type 1, so like with type 1s you have to have insulin with a lot of your meals. This is with sourdough. I was like, okay, let's see what happens with just a couple of slices. And I did like peanut butter and honey, and then I did another one with peanut butter and jam, and my numbers were a little bit lower than what they were like before. So I was like, okay, yeah, this works for diabetics. It's very, very diabetic friendly. Like it's using natural sugars rather than refined. And I think that's what people don't understand about diabetics, is that they think, oh yeah, all sugar is bad. No. Things like honey, which are fast-acting, yes, they have a high spike, but they're fast-acting sugar, and they'll spike you for like maybe 4 hours, and that's it. Like it's a very short spike, versus like if you're doing refined sugars, it'll be like a 24, 48 hour spike. Like those dextrose pills that endocrinologists always shove at diabetics, those are worse for you than than using like a spoonful of honey for your low sugars, or in my case, I use arrowroot biscuits, which they give you about a 4-point increase for 8 hours, I think. So it's a very low spike, but for like an 8-hour period. So I think this is my last thing to wash up. Okay. I'm soaking this so I can easily wash this in soapy water. But as you see, like everything is water soluble in this recipe, so it's like really, really good. And as you see, or as you saw, there's like lickety split almost for this. And we got 10 minutes. Yay! I got 10 minutes, so I can relax for a little bit. Well, I'm sorry to finish cleaning up. Yeah, and the time that it takes for those scones to cook. It's the same amount of time it takes me to clean up. I mean, sure, you can use like a dishwasher to clean all this up, but I would suggest, if you are using a dishwasher, to rinse out your bowl that you mixed your dough in. It's just, it'll make it easier and you don't clog your dishwasher or end up breaking it. There we go. So that's done. I just have to wipe up. So I like a little bit of soda water in this. And I always use like 3 of these. Well, 3 or 4. So I do 1 for the immediate cleanup, which is just like get a lot of the crumbs off, and to try and get some of the other stuff off. So that's 1 right there. I'm gonna toss that one right away, and then get the other one. But yeah, like this is a fast recipe, as you can see. We're gonna take number 2, and then this is where I take this to ensure that I have a lot of the bad stuff gone. Number 3 is just to kind of clean up, because this has soapy water in it. It's usually lime. There we go. Okay. All I have to do is just do the floor, but I'll do that after I finish this one. That's that, and because my cloth is already wet, I can just do this. So there's that, and I'm going to just do this side. Like, it doesn't take long to clean up. Cool. And I always like making sure that everyone's going down into I want to make sure that there's no door or such in this one. But yeah, there we go. And yeah, like I tend to, when I wash my dishes, I tend to use a little bit of hotter water. I'm used to using hot water to wash my dishes. Like that's scalding hot, but like hot enough. But it's also a good thing for like making sure that things are sanitized. Is using hot water to wash. Okay, and that's all 7 minutes. Go figure. And quickly it comes to wiping up. I'm gonna do that floor while I'm at it. But yeah, this recipe is like stupidly quick. Very easy to make, very light on ingredients. I'm just gonna wipe my So I'm gonna move you so that you're there for when I pull out my, oh my god, I can smell them. They are, it's gonna make the whole apartment smell like garlic and spices. That's actually all right. Oh. Okay. Might as well do my sweeping in a moment. Just to clean up my little mess here. But yeah, that's a quick recipe. I like this particular scone recipe because it's way better, way easier to make. And the dumping that I was speaking of earlier was the fact that when I was doing the cleanup on my original thing, I used a stupid broom to clean up the excess flour. That was really dumb of me, so I decided to do a refilm on this because of that fact, and because I've done better things with this, so now I just have to wait. But yeah, this recipe is one of my favorites. I got a lot of favorites in my cookbook, but yeah, I'm hoping I can get it to print as well as a digital copy, because not many people have the ways and means to get digital books and whatever. I know nowadays it's starting to become a thing where everybody has access to digital books, but for those old-timey people, or old-fashioned people like myself, who actually likes a real book, who likes the tangible, being able to open them and whatnot. Yeah, I'm going to try and see if I can get a publisher. That way I can get an actual book out there. It's going to be about the same price, so about what, 20 or 25 bucks for the book. It's not going to be that much, and you're getting 44 recipes. It's a lot of recipes for a good price, and there's little stories intertwined with each recipe. Okay, so we got 3 minutes. I'm going to turn off the oven because there's only 3 minutes left. I'm just letting the residual heat get the rest of the scones cooked. Yay, we're almost done. Yeah, usually when I'm baking or using the oven, when it hits the 2 or 3 minute mark, that's when I turn off the oven and just let it kind of finish cooking. But yeah, this is a very, very, very good recipe. I thoroughly enjoy this particular recipe, and what is it? I got a lot on my mind when it comes to the chili or whatever. I've actually done a fast mode, which is usually 2.5-3 hours, give or take. A really, really good chili is when you start it the night before, you just let it go till supper the next night. That is a really good chili. So you're just letting it cook for a full 24 hours, and just adding a little bit of water every so often, just to keep it kind of thinned out. There we go. Last minute. But yeah, the chili is a really good recipe. The Scones, as you saw, oh my god, this is smelling way too good. The scones are another really good one. Good bread recipe. Again, highly diabetic friendly. There's a lot of recipes on my, or in my cookbook. And also on the YouTube channel under Eclipse Kitchen, there's a lot of good recipes. Actually, the one that I really liked was I think it's the mac and cheese recipe, because I did it kind of like Clue, where they're doing the whole reveal of what actually happened. Yeah, I'm like wiping them. It's on a few drops. Here we go! Here we go with the scones. And I'm not kidding. But this is how big they go. Like, this doesn't take do it justice. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna take it off my thing. Huh, you're half battery. That's fine. But yeah, like as you can see, that's how. And I'm just going like, that's how thick they become, and that's like what, 5 or 6 teaspoons of. Oh, there we go. 5 or 6 teaspoons of baking powder. So that's basically the scone recipe right there. It is absolutely amazing. I'm gonna leave these guys for a few minutes. Like, they are perfectly cooked, yet they're fluffy. But yeah, I'll use like a couple of these or 3 of these for my lasagna that I have in the fridge, and I'll use the other 3 for when I do the next one. So with that, hope you guys enjoyed this, and we'll take it back onto the other side. So with that, here we go. Well, that's pretty much it for making this meal. Hope it was somewhat enjoyable and educational. Look forward to the next episode of Eclipse Kitchen. Here's where you could find me and my counterpart. Follow us on Twitter and join our Facebook group where you'll get regular updates on what's going on. Subscribe to this channel and our main channel to see all the wonderful content we'll bring to you. And last but not least, become a Patreon and donate to our coffee to show your support for more content like this and more. You all have a great day.